Hi everyone, I'm Allie Snow, and alongside me is HuskerOnline's Robin Washut. Now, Nebraska just finished up their Friday practice. We got a chance to talk to head coach Fred Hoiberg and Thorir Thorben-Arson right before the Huskers, I got that right, right before the Huskers travel down I-80 and face in-state rival Creighton on Saturday. Now, Robin, Thorir is the only Nebraska player who's gotten minutes against Creighton these last few years. You know, no one else on the team has faced the Bluejays. So what does that mean for Nebraska?
It really kind of changes the dynamic of this whole rivalry compared to previous years, to where, as far as Nebraska is concerned, I mean, they really don't have any idea about what Creighton, Nebraska means to the state. I mean, they hear about it, I'm sure, fans, and, you know, they got Doc Sadler on staff. I think he went 3-3 against the Bluejays when he was the head coach. So, I mean, they've heard about it, but until you're actually in it, you don't really appreciate really kind of what this series means to the state and both fan bases. And so that's, I mean, can be a good thing and maybe a bad thing a little bit, to where, yeah, you mentioned Thor, he's the only guy that's played minutes against Creighton, and that came in mop-up duty in last year's blowout win in Lincoln. So no player on this roster has ever really been a part of this series. And so you go into Creighton, coincidentally, which is going to be, technically, they played a true road game at Georgia Tech, but there's maybe 5,000 people there, and a lot of them were Nebraska fans. So this is really going to be a whole different experience for them. Another first where they're getting thrown in the hornet's nest a little bit. There's going to be a raucous crowd there, like there always is. They're going to be hostile. They're going to be yelling stuff at them all game. And so how this team kind of handles all that is really one of the biggest question marks going into this game. I mean, obviously the rivalry will develop with them in time, but for the here and now, just handling that type of environment, I think, is going to be the most intriguing thing about Saturday.
Right, it'll be a sea of red and a sea of blue on Saturday. Nebraska has not had the best luck in Omaha. And again, this is a new team going into that arena. It's going to be a wild atmosphere. How does Nebraska handle this pressure?
Well, it's going to be, I mean, obviously themselves, I mean, dealing with just that type of adversity on the road for the first time, that's where it starts. But I think as far as X's and O's go with matching up with Creighton, this is a really interesting matchup because both teams love to run. You know, obviously pace and tempo are the hallmarks of Fred Hoiberg's offense. But with Creighton, I mean, their whole let it fly mantra is scoring in transition and jacking up three-pointers, which coincidentally is exactly what Nebraska wants to do. So which team is going to be the one that bends? And I personally think, my guess is that Creighton's going to be the one that tries to slow it down. I mean, Nebraska right now is 15th nationally in adjusted tempo. So, I mean, they are running as well as any team in the country right now. And so what Creighton was probably going to want to do is slow them down and make them operate in the half court, just like every team that's had success against Nebraska has done. I would imagine they'll go into some sort of zone defense and make Nebraska beat them with three-pointers. And Nebraska's struggled to shoot the three. They've struggled to make free throws. They've struggled with turnovers, and they've struggled to rebound. So when you make them have to execute fundamentally and not just get easy points in transition, that's when you're probably going to have your best chance for success. So stylistically, these teams are very similar, but I imagine you'll see some new wrinkles from Creighton as opposed to Nebraska.
You kind of mentioned it earlier, free throws. Nebraska struggled with free throws on Wednesday night. 8 of 18 from the free throw line. That's terrible. That's terrible. But what does Nebraska need to do moving on to just get consistency from that free throw line?
That's the question of the season right now. 8 of 18, that all came in the second half, too. They didn't shoot a single free throw in the first half. So, I mean, just look at the amount of points they've left off the scoreboard, not only in that game, but all season long. As of, I think, earlier this week, I think it was Thursday last time I looked, they ranked 347th nationally out of 353 Division I teams in team free throw percentage. And so the issue is, it's not just one or two guys that are having issues. It's a team-wide problem right now of just putting the ball through the rim at your easiest opportunity. I don't know how you fix that. I think that free throws, in my opinion, are the biggest indicator of mental toughness as there is in basketball, because it's you, the ball, and the hoop, and your ability to block out all the outside stuff and just make a simple shot. Nebraska right now is struggling with that mightily, and until they figure that out, they're going to be at a disadvantage because you can't just simply rely on knocking down threes and scoring in transition. It's not sustainable. Now, you can get hot and get some rhythm going off that, but games are won in the Big Ten at the free throw line, especially when the officials start getting more involved and kind of take games over. You have to be able to capitalize at the line. And so the good news is Nebraska's getting there. I mean, getting to the line 18 times and a half, that's incredible. But you have to be able to convert. And until Nebraska consistently makes free throws and even does better than making every other one they take, they're going to have issues. And so I don't know where that starts. They focus on it a lot, but it's kind of like turnovers in football. Nebraska's football has struggled with turnovers for years. But the balance is you don't want to put too much emphasis on it to where it becomes some sort of psychological deal with your players, but you also have to work on it enough to fix the problem. So that's going to be a real challenge, I think, for Hoiberg and the staff to deal with this going forward and correct the problem without making it some sort of dark cloud hovering over the team all year.
Well, we saw Nebraska practicing their free throws after practice today, so we'll see if that translates tomorrow as Nebraska and Creighton tip off at 1:30 p.m. Central Time in Omaha. For Robin Washut, I'm Allie Snow, reporting for HuskerOnline.